Welcome everyone to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about how we unwind at the end of the day. What are some of our hobbies? Who do we talk to? What gets work and all of the stress away from us? Conrad here.
Dylan.
Hilton.
George.
And I'm David.
And we have our special guest David here. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well,
Pleased to be here. Thank you, guys.
first time being on the podcast. Hopefully it won't be your last. We'll try not to run you out of the building here.
I would appreciate that.
It's not guaranteed, though.
Yeah. Would you like to tell the audience a little bit about what you do, your business?
Yeah, of course. So, David Nall, and I own a company with my wife called Mi Madre Cleaning Company, and we do residential commercial cleaning. And we started it about 18 months ago in Corpus Christi. The brand really came about as a side project for me. Came out of the restaurant industry and decided I was going to help my mother-in-law put together her book of business. She was already a housekeeper, and she came from came to the United States from Mexico 25 years ago and had a chemical engineering degree and had to clean houses and work in restaurants just to put food on the table, provide for her kids that were coming with her. And so that type of work is very hand-to-mouth. It's very hard to make a living. And so as we got involved, I got out of the restaurant industry, and it was like, okay, I think we can create a better platform for her to provide a better life for herself, more opportunity and stuff. So we started building this out and realized that, okay, there's a lot more here than just a side project.
Right.
And we've kind of honed everything in Corpus Christi, and then when we came to Austin, I would say 4 months later, something like that, and we've been operating here for a little over a year, and it's been going really well. So really excited about it, and look to grow into other markets in the next probably 6 to 10 months, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. What are some of the benefits with going with you? As far as your cleaning services, do you offer a subscription? Do you offer...
there's nuance in all of that. We do base pricing compared to how frequently you're going to do it, right? So it's how big's the house, how big's the business, what's the scope of work going to be? There's a lot of kind of in the weeds stuff to get into with that, but for us, it's if you want to do it weekly or 3 times a week or monthly, it's going to vary based off of that. So that's pretty basic, but the reason people like to use us is because of the quality of the technicians that we bring, and so we do have a good tech stack that makes it easier for communications, booking, payments, and all of that. But the way that we pay the technicians a living wage, they've got career opportunities. We like to think that attracts better talent, and with better talent, better tenure, and that's a longer relationship you have with your technician. And that's where it varies from a lot of other companies where you never know who's going to show up. And so, the technicians that we've had with us, on average, stick with us. It's hard to say now. We're still pretty young. Mm-hmm. But, we've had some that have been with us since day one. And we've had some that have been with us 10 months and, even longer than that in some of the other cases. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Do y'all do post-construction cleaning? Or you're doing...
Yeah, we do everything residential. So from post-construction, short-term rental, regular maid services, and then on the commercial side, we do offices and, what I would call light commercial.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
It's funny because my mom did this as well, cleaning houses.
Really?
And one of my youngest memories, I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. We lived in Reno, Nevada, and we knew a small business of real estate. And she would take us every Wednesday and Friday, and we would go clean the office. And it was me, my brother, and my sister.
You were cheap labor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. My mom capitalized on that. But, we had the little wood markers to match up and when everyone would kind of slide in their chairs, they would bump into the corners and we would go in and paint it, and that was our job, take out trash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Sophia, my wife, did the same thing. So when she was younger, 12, 13, she would get dragged along to the offices in Corpus Christi downtown, and she would pull all the trash going through. Like, so it's been a bit in her blood for a long time. If you ever met her, you would never think that she would be okay cleaning houses. She's very like bougie kind of acting, and like cares about makeup, nails, all that stuff. But I mean, she does a lot of our training. She does cleanings when absolutely necessary. Not at 8 months pregnant, but you know,
Right.
you know, she would.
Well, that's cool. That's
She's
really
a
cool.
doer, man. You know, she's
She's a hustler.
She's sharp. You know what I mean? You know, Sophie's sharp, and yeah.
She's got claws too. You know, but
That's what I'm saying. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes in a networking
Rat.
environment, and there's someone that's being a little bit like, I mean, you have, I mean,
dismissive or something.
yeah, not even that, but sometimes, do you know when someone's a little bit of a pain in the neck because they have some sort of opinions and whatnot on some specific subject, and then she goes like, well, let's talk about being a pain. And then the person goes like, oops. She does not bring it home. She resolves there and then. It's unbelievable. It's, yeah.
That's
That
cool.
she is. Yeah. So
It's good.
That's awesome. Best of luck to you here in the Austin area.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hope to go to San Antonio soon. So
San Antonio is a nice area also. That's have all of Central Texas kind of covered.
yeah, and I think for us the growth plan is to find an operating partner. You know, I think from my experience in restaurant franchising and stuff is there's a lot of ways to grow like that on you know, with the other people's help, right? So franchising, licensing, operating partner, we view that operating partner as the best next step because it's the most control, you know, and a close environment, right? So I think franchising could be in the cards a few years from now, but with operating partner, it's like we could have a, you know, a subsidiary, if you will, of the company, and we'd still have a lot of, you know, say in what happens in that market. So anyway,
It's all growth, all small business growth, and that's what we're here for on this podcast. So,
love it.
gentlemen, I don't know how you guys do it, but after a stressful day, unwinding, I really like cracking open a beer or drinking some margaritas. That's my biggest thing right there.
It's a good way to do it.
Maybe watch a movie or two, play a video game here or there, just kind of decompress and let my
Yeah.
mind just zone out. I don't know about any of you guys.
I'm normally in wine. I do the
Same.
same thing. I'll drink a glass of wine, but these days I'm just doing gin and tonic. You know what I mean?
Keep it
And
light. Keep it light.
Yeah,
Summer bod.
yeah. And then so the gin and tonic, and I do maybe some snack like cheese or some sort of meat kind of thing. So that's it. And then, but when I get home, normally, you know, the girls want to play a little bit, and then we pick up a game, and then we play like Ludo, and you know, it's always fun. You know, the I don't know. This year has been great for us. So for me, it has always been fun. I just get home, and then, you know, we play a little game, like a board game, and with my girls. And then once it's time for them to go to bed, and then I go and make a drink, and that's it.
I'll chime in. I feel like I'm with you on the wine. I do a lot of things. So, I mean, as a business owner, Hilton, you can definitely probably understand this. Like, sometimes the work doesn't stop at 5, but I think to me, it's like starting the day the right way really dictates how well I'm going to be able to relax at night. You know, so if I can get a good walk with the dog in the morning, maybe another one at night, get a little bit of work done with solitude. You know, I think for me, it's always dealing with, you know, issues of the day, of whether there's, you know, jobs that are being done, technicians that need help, or anything else, you know, customer related stuff. But then, you know, having that time where it's like, hey, I might have a workflow or an automation that I can kind of focus on in my office that's alone. It seems like geeky, but like sometimes get the best work done between like 7 and 9 at night. And then, but yeah, glass of wine, game nights with friends have been really good for us, you know. So it's kind of being on with the social scene a little bit, but that's a way to kind of decompress from the stress of work. So
And I think you brought up an interesting point of doing a little exercise, taking the dog out for another walk, at night like you do during the morning. And I feel like exercise is also a great method of decompressing because it allows you to, I guess, and from a male perspective, I guess aggressively let out maybe some frustrations or pent up energy. Or, I mean, I know I'll go on a run and next thing you know, I'm like, where the hell am I? Because I just get into a zone out. And then next thing you know, I'm, a couple blocks down the street and I'm just like, how did I get here? Okay. Keep going or I'll turn around. And I think that kind of just release from always thinking and always having to deal with something is a good relaxing thing that you have to do.
Yeah.
Curious to know about George. What does George do?
I think there's so many different cathartical ways for us to kind of try to find this Zen mode. We gotta ask yourself: what kind of catharsis are you talking about? Like, is this mental? Is it physical? Right. So, is it because I spend too much time in front of a computer? Is that because I speak too much? Also, I work a lot by myself, so maybe my way to do that is socializing. Whereas for some other people, you probably see and interact physically with 20, 30 people. All you wanted is to be by yourself, doing absolutely nothing, or just vegetating in front of a TV or a computer or whatever, playing games. There's so many ways for you to do that. I believe that you mentioned that that's the way your day start. The way your day starts, that kind of dictates the rest. My problem is before that. It's the night before I sleep. How much I sleep. So I think if I rarely sleep 8 hours. So when I sleep 8 hours, I feel the difference. It's brutal. So probably also not eating too much at night makes my day much better. So those things, I'm more on the prevent to have a bad day than, as you mentioned, like finding a way to cathartically, solve something, because for me, work, leisure, education, study, it's all the same in my job, so it's hard for me to see, like, do I want to find something intellectual, something physical? I think doing something different, which is exercising, definitely, especially team sports or competitive sports. This is how I feel better, like not the competition itself, but the the variables of a game makes me forget that I have some problems to solve, whatever. So with sports, collective sports, I would say it's mine.
If I can chime in, just share something briefly. Monday, my son had baseball practice, an hour baseball practice, and then the second half of that hour, so it was a 2-hour practice. The second half of it was a parents versus kids kickball baseball tournament.
Yeah, nice.
And man, I tell you what, all of us parents, like afterwards, because we have a group chat, and we were, probably like 60, 70 message deep of everyone going like, I haven't done anything that fun in such a long time. Like, let's create our own, kickball team. And to your point, George, that camaraderie of doing a group sport activity it's so much fun. It is so much fun.
Yeah, but you cannot do that in the end of the day every single day, unless you go to the gym. Yeah, unless you go to the gym or you have really good, some close friends that neighbors and whatnot, and then you can just play a little bit in front of the house or something like that. Yeah.
We moved into a neighborhood this last week that has pickleball courts.
Nice.
And I'm not a pickleball player, but I've started playing over the last couple of months, and I'm like I'm on the Facebook group trying to find
Taking over.
Yeah, trying to find some people to play. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to be compared as like a.
Taking over, man.
Pickleball is taking the
It is.
world over.
Yeah.
I love pickleball. I'm the same way. It's like who's ready, who's
Like,
available
who's
in the
down? Who's down?
Yeah. We'll meet up.
Dylan, you haven't said anything.
I like to cook.
I would
So-
say that.
I go home and I put AirPods in. I'll listen to music or a podcast, and I cook. It's kind of like playing a video game, I guess. Just something to do for an hour and a half, couple hours, or just do my own thing. No one bothers me during that time, and it's just kind of therapeutic, I guess. And then at the end, you always have something fun to play with, I guess. Plating and random stuff. That's what I do day in, day out. Other than that, play a little video games here and there. Little decompressors. Exercise, occasionally. 3 days a week or so. These are all good ways to mainly just decompress.
You said plating, like how you make the plate of food, like try to make it look good.
Yeah, so
Okay.
like maybe throughout a year, I'll make the same dish 15 times, but I could plate it differently, just do different things just to make it fun. My dad did that a lot when I was a kid.
Okay.
So like when my parents divorced, I'd go hang out with him. That'd be like the one thing that was different. He'd make breakfast. He'd make some waffles, some eggs, and like bananas, and he'd use a straw to make the banana like a canoe boat and fill it with blueberries, and then make like a little river of syrup that went with the waffles. And I just always thought that was cool, and it got me into that kind of thing. Very random, but
Yeah.
it's just different.
I was
Kinda cool.
thinking like like Michelin restaurant where it's all of these unique
Yep.
gastronomy type stuff.
Yeah, I got a pair of kitchen tweezers,
Okay, yeah.
Everybody needs one. At least one pair. But yeah. It's my thing.
I've never even really heard of plating before. So I guess like if you took pad thai as an example, like how would you plate that differently?
A big way to plate, so it depends on the plate. Like the vessel is one thing, but volume. So you could take like a big bowl that comes up and like give it some height. You can have a bowl that's like flat with some walls. You kind of, I don't know. It just depends. Pad Thai is like noodles, so
Right.
just the most common is people take like chopsticks and you grab it and you twirl it, and then you set it down, and then you pull it out, and it makes like a nice cylinder with
Yeah.
noodles. It's not as easy as it seems. Never
I've
done it
seen
with
that.
Pad Thai, but that would be another way of maybe dressing it up, doing something different. One is like, let's say you're doing like a steak dinner, you do scallop potatoes, and you like stack them vertically, and then you put sauce down, then you put the steak slices over, then you put like the green leaves in certain spots. It's super gay but fun to do. But it's just one of those things. It's like I'm taking time on this because I can, It's
know
like
what
I
I'm-
don't have any kids yet. I'm like, this is all going to change my routine when I have kids. It's like come home and pop fucking Totinos in the oven and get something out
Yeah.
because they're hungry. It's
Conrad,
gonna
you
be
know
like
what?
meal prepping.
You know what I'm hearing is that the meal at his wedding is going to be epic.
Yeah, I'm
Epic
expecting
plating.
I'm expecting fireworks to be shooting out of my steak.
Okay, they will. Better have a nice fucking wedding gift.
The plating dictates how well you're doing.
Yeah.
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 I'm gonna see all your contributions before the day. So you see some people with super fancy plates, you know why. No, actually, that's one of those things we were talking about before the podcast. I don't even know what has been selected for our dinner.
Yeah.
That was my fiance's choice.
Do you want me to ruin it or
Well,
I do.
I should know. It's not a secret. I just don't know. I think it's like prime rib and maybe something else.
No, it's a steak.
What kind of steak?
Prime rib. I'm just- no, it's it's just steak and chicken. But the
Yeah, one of
chicken
the two.
has capers
Yeah.
and something else with mashed
panna cotta.
potatoes. Yeah, panna cotta. That was what it was. Yeah. Or steak. So I got the steak. My wife got the chicken.
I'll be getting the steak.
we're gonna be splitting it and being like, whose is better.
There you go.
So
I'll have some Wilson Wedding cigars for everybody.
Cool. Well, I have one thing to ask on the subject of the podcast, because we talk about like the end of the day and whatnot. But what about when you have you prepare your day to start and prepare the night before? Because I've had that. Like, oh, today's gonna be a great day because I woke up feeling awesome, and then first hour in, it's all good and things happening fine, and then all of a sudden, and then like a hairy thing pops up, right? And then you're feeling good, so you actually come with the conflict resolution quite well. But then you had that one conflict resolution, and then half an hour later, another one pops up or something like that, And then you go like, what do you do during the day to get back, the relax or mental state to be able to get it afresh again to get to the next conflict resolution?
Good question. I don't know that I have a go-to like method. I mean, for me, I think it really depends maybe physically where I'm at. But usually for me is like I need some solitude. To George's point earlier, I'm always surrounded or I'm talking to people. So a lot of it is just like I need to get somewhere quiet where I can think. Sometimes that's in the car. Sometimes it's in the office. Generally, it's just somewhere I can process. And I mean, I have a pretty chill personality either way. So I'm going to, process it pretty quickly and probably be back on, the grind in about 20 or 30 minutes max. But yeah, it's usually just find some solitude.
Do you have one, Conrad?
you know what? And that's, I do like solitude. What I like to do is write it down. I'll write down the conflict, and then I'll write down possible resolutions or solutions that I can think of to get myself back into the groove of how my morning was going. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's one of those things where I'm very goal or not goal driven, but task driven, where if I feel like I'm falling off from completing a task or something's derailing my day, if I have like a path to resolve some type of conflict, I feel like I overcame it. And it's one of those little things where I kind of go like, okay, there's an accomplishment. You thought of, how you can resolve this, what you can do to get past this, instead of like sitting there and freaking out and trying to distract myself. I focus on it and write possible solutions to it.
I think Dylan and I, sometimes when I get back here from wherever I'm at, or when Dylan comes back from whatever he's at, and then one of us is smoking a cigar, it means something happened. We either go to the warehouse and then smoke over there, or if we still need to do some work on the computer, and then we just fire a cigar over here, and we smoke a cigar. That helps us calm down, bring the focus on. But yeah, that's what we normally do. We fire, we light a cigar up, and then we kind of get back. You know what I mean? Because it relaxes you a little bit, and many times I get here and then Dylan's smoking a cigar. I go like, "What happened?" It's like, man, I'm having to deal with this, thing that it shouldn't be happening, and we explained everything and blah blah blah, and he's still asking the same questions. Like, okay, so, and he's smoking a cigar, and then sometimes and he comes back from a measure or something, and he's smoking a cigar. It's like, what's going on? I'm telling you exactly the same thing. I think I can tell for me and for Dylan that we kind of go to a cigar either in the warehouse or in the office. If we have time, normally I look at Dylan sometimes, and the day is being tough and being busy and whatnot. I was like, hey, let's fire the grill, smoke a cigar, and cook a steak. And then he's like, hell yeah, let's do it. And then 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we are grilling a steak and then smoking a cigar in the warehouse.
Do you think that's like physical or like a ritual type of release?
Smoking a cigar?
Yeah, or both.
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, me too.
Like it just calms you, relaxes you.
Probably ritualistically, there's something there, but there is like when you smoke the nicotine, there's like a dopamine release, and it also helps with focus, I guess, too. So especially if I'm coming in and like yesterday's a good example. Straight from my house to a measure, to a measure, to a measure, to a fourth measure, and then into the office. And then I sat down. I got here. Carol had something that she wanted me to help her with. So before I could do anything that I brought with me, I had 2 or 3 things to do when I got here. So I think I left yesterday at like 7:30. Like, not really even that overwhelmed by it, but it's like a spark up a cigar, grab a little whiskey. I poured a little bit of this Jefferson's Ocean, and then I just cranked out like 7 estimates in like 2.5 hours, and it was just like a nice little flow.
Yeah.
But if I'm already in a bad headspace, it's like one of 2 things typically, and it depends how severe it is, like what happened. Most of the time, it's just like self-soothing, like you said, kind of like solidarity. Just I am a big self-soother. If something bothers me, I will be over it relatively quickly if I do it on my own. If someone's sitting there, which family, fiance, people love to do, what's wrong? Well, the more I got to talk about it, the more it puts me back into the angry feeling. Otherwise, I'll just get over it in like 30 minutes. We don't even have to talk about it. I'll just get over it. And if it's that big of a deal, it's just venting. Like most of the time I'm here with Hilton, we're business partners, so that I'm just like, dude, I just dealt with this, this, and this. And he's like, what? You talk to someone about it, you feel better, you move on. That's typically kind of how I go about it.
Man, you said something pretty important here. Having people around that can listen to you, don't judge you. That sometimes it's just an emotional release, just need to vent.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more it's more related to how you get re-energized. Other times it could be an emotional cleansing. There's so many different ways to do that. I think we should be taught that in school. That should be an option, and maybe elective, an option in school. But learning how to find ways. One thing I like to do is it's nothing, absolutely nothing, but it's got to be under the sun. A lot of hydration under the sun with nothingness, silence, right, and just breathing. Like breathing, feeling the air. The contact to nature, grounding, barefoot grounding. Mobility, maybe just moving. Try to. I think it's too hard to meditate. I don't get there, but at least clean a little bit. All the tabs that I have it open. Forget about that. Just the sun. Just maybe activate. The 5 senses or other senses. Maybe talking about bullshit, laughing. I would say laughing is definitely, I would say sex is a great way to do that. We should do it more often. We should talk about that more often.
You heard that, babe?
Right? I think masturbation certainly
I'm
is a way
married
to
for
release.
a long time.
Masturbating for sure, it's a great way to release. I think everybody should do it more often, better. We should be better. We should find ways to do that. Maybe
if we do more, and then it's if I masturbate more, and then Dylan's gonna catch me masturbating here. You know.
Oh my goodness.
Could be like just leave a sock on the doorknob, and I'll stay in the warehouse for a little bit.
Honestly, we would be happier people if you're having more sex, like the whole process, you know, like getting the interest and like just releasing. I think all those things together, they will make us better people.
Yeah.
I like it. Masturbate more.
Yeah, definitely. Masturbation is used for release pain. A lot of people, you have no ideas. I listen to a lot of podcasts regarding health, man health, because I clearly need it. So one of the things they do, like it's proved, so many papers that people with chronic pain, they masturbate way more than people without that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a release. It's the dopamine and all the other ins that you can imagine here. So,
at what point though, based on like you've obviously put some thought into this, right? At what point does that sort of become a habit that's not positive?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There are a lot of discussions regarding that. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that.
I think that's a slippery slope.
And the body
I think
also...
there's a fine line.
Yeah. And also, are you working 10, 12 hours a day? Do you have kids? I mean, there's so much you can do. There's so much you can do with the kids and all the worriness of the world, so... Well, our population is going down, no doubt. We reached the peak. Mm-hmm. Right now, if we don't change the way we live, that's one thing I would mention to you that you said, oh yeah, how I go about my day in the morning, and then I mention at night. Man, if you're having 3 things fucking you up per day, you're wrong. You're doing wrong. Not you. Me, you. When I say you, we are doing something wrong. When so many things are picking up like that, are you trying to be a superhero like I am sometimes? There's so much you can do.
Yeah, I normally when something happens, right? I normally go like exactly what you said, like something it's being done wrong, and then Dylan and I, we always kind of debate a little bit when things happen. It's like, hey, yeah, but this shouldn't happen. Okay, this shouldn't happen. But what is it that we can learn from this so it doesn't happen again?
Like
so we take lessons, from every single opportunity that we have. And we don't judge, each other. We don't judge our team. We don't judge anybody. We just go like, okay, what can we do? So that we talk before it happens. We understand, like we identify from a situation, like either a type of customer, because people are different, right? So we identify from the type of customers that we're dealing with. So these we're going to have to pay a little bit more attention on these. These are going to have to pay a little bit of attention on that. So when it comes to either installs or anything related, to the final sale and delivery of the product, we are always taking precautions so that we don't have to have that stress. So we have put a system and a method together that it's pretty well oiled. But I think as we grow and grow, more things are going to start happening.
That'll test how well oiled it is, yeah. I feel like it's kind of like mental pickleball, if you will. We're just bouncing ideas back and forth.
Yeah.
And then it's very easy to be a yes man. Someone tells you something and you go, okay, yeah, sounds good. You got to find a way to have positive critiquing going on. Like, that's a good idea. I like that, but I would do it this way. This kind of thing. And then when we do that with each other back and forth, it takes 20 minutes or so. But at the end, we started here. We end up in like such a better idea and like a thought process because we really bounce it off of each other. That's why I think a partnership is a huge blessing. Like being a business owner, like doing it all by yourself, man, you gotta really trust that you're doing the right thing all the time. And it's refreshing when you're like, I think I'm doing the right thing, but you have someone invested in the business telling you their thoughts too, and you're like, man, I didn't think about it that way. That's actually a much better idea than what I was thinking.
It's interesting too. Is like as a small business owner, right? I mean, George mentioned like if you got 3 things that are disrupting your day, right? I mean,
I'm gonna mess your whole day up
well, I mean, I wish it ended at 3, right?
with just 3, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we've
But it
got
doesn't
too
take-
many every single day. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You know, like
Well, and to my
Sometimes it
trying
doesn't
to-
take 3 though, you know.
where I'm
Yeah,
trying to go
yeah,
is like as a small business owner, it's like at what point do you realize, okay, there's a system that's missing
Yep.
here, and as a partnership, like, okay, how do we structure a system to make it not be this same problem over and over
Well, I
again?
joke about that with people all the time. Is like, I think, in a sense, I'm not a flooring company owner. I'm a firefighter. I have fires that pop up, and I put them out. And we find things pop up, and then we find solutions for them. And sometimes that is like, oh, this isn't happening because of nothing. Like, there is a system missing that we need to really focus on, so that doesn't continue to happen. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
And it
Dylan and
takes
I,
the shit to figure that out.
yeah, Dylan comes from business school, right? So, and I come from methodology, school. So, I did computer science. All computer science does is methodology and systems. So it's systems and methodology, and Dylan is business. So because we have that, it makes that's why it makes it a good thing,
Good balance, yeah.
because it's like, hey, but the business sense is this, and it's like, yeah, but the system sense is that. So and then we start creating things that it makes sense for business and system.
Yeah.
And we always come up with good ideas and great
I
ways
feel like
of overcoming things.
the dynamic is usually Hilton has like a cool idea, but trying to make it make sense business wise is like, okay, let me reel you in a little bit, which is usually a good thing. But then by reeling him in, it almost like pulls me out of my comfort zone a little bit, where I'm too trapped in safety of like, no, this is the way it should be done. He's going to take a little bit more of a risk.
Right.
And fortune favors the bold. You got to take some risks. So I think he has a healthy relationship with risk. And then I come in and reel you in a little bit, and then we end up doing something like, damn, that worked really well,
I'm zero risk averse person.
No, him and risk
Same.
are best friends.
Yeah, no, I mean when I'm averse, so zero. So if I was 100, so I was very averse to risk. I'm zero. So like
You don't mind it
I
at all.
don't fear risk at all, at all. And but that's the thing. And then sometimes I go like, hey, this system. For example, we are discussing about renewing a membership on a networking group for Carol, and then I was like, I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it. And then, the system's not working, for her. So we got to change the system. We may bring her into a different group or whatever. And then Dylan's like, well,
Look at the numbers.
let's look at the numbers. And then we got these. And then these brought us these profit. If we broke even or more, and she's got the time to do it, and the time is not really costing much money, it's just costing the time, which is huge, but it's a process. So it's like, hey, just trust the process. Yeah, just trust the process a little bit further, and it might turn into something much bigger. And then I was like, okay, with that different view, because Kara and I were like, I don't want to renew, and she was like, I don't want to renew. And then Dylan, came in and said, no, I think we should do this way. I was like, okay, let's renew then. You know what I mean? It's that kind of things. Like I was like, I don't want to renew. It's not working for her. We got to find a different way of doing it. Let me talk to the, to the president of that group, and then, so I had a conversation with the guy, like 15 minutes, and it's like, hey, this is happening, that is happening, and blah, 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 and it's like, okay, and then he was like, oh, she needs to do this, this, and that. I'm like, okay, can you do this and that? And he was like, yeah, but he was, throwing, some information. Then he's a data-driven person, so he was like, yeah, but this was this much, this was that much, whatever he was saying. And then we were like, hey, no, but what happened in that situation was this, what happened in the other situation was that. And then he was like, okay, So he felt a little bit pressured as well, but in the end of the day, we were new.
That's an issue of like preconceived notions, and a good example of that is like I get in an argument with my wife, and then she remembers it differently, you know. But if you have those receipts, and you're like, look, this is actually what it was, but the reality isn't what's real; it's how they remember it. So someone's like, no, y'all got this, this, and this, and this, and this. I'm like, okay. I wasn't gonna pull it up. I can pull it all up. Yeah, pull it up. I'm like, okay, I'll pull it up. You're thinking it was this huge number that we've gotten. It's this small number. And I am data driven, but that whole scenario is someone else's time that they want to or don't want to invest into something. All I said, here are the numbers. If it's a matter of whether you want to do it or not, if you don't want to do it, I don't care, don't do it. But if you want to do it, we didn't lose any money. So to me, that's just upside potential.
Right.
Do the same thing next year that you did this year. We're not going to lose any money, but you have the potential to do a lot more. And if we lose a little money next year, I can live with that. But it's you doing it, going to the meetings, being invested. If you don't want to do it, I don't care. But I'm looking at it from a real analytical point of view, not emotional.
Yeah, and I was looking more emotional because like it should have been working already, by now.
But that
Yeah,
right
it
there,
should have been.
but one of the unsung character traits between the two of you, and I think for any small business owner or anybody, is being humble. Because like you're saying, you're very locked in your way. Dylan is very locked in his way.
We both are.
If you can be humble in the fact of like, you know what, I'm gonna have to say that maybe your idea is better than mine, because there's that stubbornness where a lot of people fail because they just go like, no, I am going to be doing it my way because I know my way is going to succeed, and then it fails. And that's happened time and time again to everyone in this room. Everyone has experienced those type of things. But the humbleness is to actually listen to that other person and be like, okay, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone and out of my thought process and accept what you have to say to it.
Yeah, but again, I'm a very logical person at the same time. And when you see numbers and when you put together, things like that, I go like, it makes sense.
Right.
And then if it makes sense, you just do it,
But that's like anything in life. It's about perspective. That same question a few months ago, I would have been on the other side of that. Like, hey, we've been spending money on this. We're not getting anything out of it. Is this really worth it? I would have had those same thoughts. It's just, if we're all here in the office and I have the tools, I will start pulling numbers up and we'll see. Let's just look at it like math, and then take the emotion out of it. Now we know the math side. Put the emotion back in. Choose to do it or not. I don't care. It will not hurt my feelings if you choose to do it or not. I want you to do what you want to do. But here's information so you can make an educated decision on it. That was really all I was doing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I just want to also try to provoke, because one of my tabs here was telling me this, to discuss what actually disrupting is. Because there are so many levels and so many variables that affects what is disrupting, what could be like disrupting for you may not be for him, Maybe you get mentally drawn, in your case, you're going to be physical, So I think it depends. I mean, maybe you can take criticism, but I can't. And that's going to drag me down. My whole day is going to be down because I was criticized. But for you, isn't that? For you, is injustice. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to understand and learn who we are. And kind of you won't prevent it. It's impossible to prevent the whole thing. But at least try to avoid walking that way. And if you can't avoid, you have to learn how to cope, how to deal with that through reading, through listening, through watching things, because we always think that reading is the solution for everything. But no, some people just listen, some people just watch it like information, right? So I would say through therapy, whenever I do a couple therapy, and I think this is absolutely mandatory for every single one. I think everyone should have it. When I have more personal problems, I have a emergency therapist, which is super zen. I would recommend that because like just for 6 sessions, 2-3 weeks, and then you're renewed. Like you start doubting yourself, or you stop. Like you put in perspective. I think maybe you reflect better, and also you can anticipate to change your routine. Because if it's not working, man, the easiest way to do is cut the losses now. Like
Yeah.
change something. We do that when we have a health problem. Why don't we do that when we have a mental issue? We just now I can cope with that. I can deal with that. No. This is nothing. And there's a lot of macho bullshit going on. And then inside, these guys are destroyed. And then they have to find ways to deal with that. And then sometimes it's via violence. Could be verbal violence. Could be, whatever. So I think we have to understand, learn about ourselves as much as possible, and then act accordingly.
What do you think your age of enlightenment was, sort of around mental health, going to therapy, anything like that?
Look, I am kind of a weirdo with that because I had therapy before I dated. I had therapy with with someone I was involved with before I dated.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes I see things, sometimes I still don't.
Like, if my therapist doesn't like you, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, there's so many variables. We are so different and at the same time so similar. So it's kind of difficult to deal with all this situation. So it's hard for me to tell this, but I was more mature. Like I had a lot of traumas that I didn't know I had it. That made me behave in a way. So I was a pushover for sure. I was like always
How old were you?
worried.
Like 25?
No, I think 40.
Okay, so 40.
That's the over under 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a cousin that now he's married and but before he would start dating a girl and it's like, okay, we gotta meet Hilton, because if the girl would be okay with all my jokes, you know what I mean, and you'd go like, okay, let's go to Hilton's house and we do a barbecue over there, and then if she would be okay, she would need to pass the test. And then he would date her for a little longer. You know what I mean? So he would take it. You have to pass Hilton's test. So that you are a person that you can, understand the jokes, and you know what I mean. Like, because I would pick on her, and every time it was the same thing. It's like a brand new person that I never met before, and then I started like Sophia told me like, you're funny, because I make those kind of jokes that only takes a few people that will understand the type of jokes that I make. It's not like jokes that are sexist or no. It's like jokes that get you thinking a little bit, and then my cousin would bring out, you have to pass Hilton's test, because I had I would be picky, on his girlfriends, and then it's like, and then he would like, yeah, Hilton, this one is a keeper, So it was funny that way.
If it didn't work out with his cousin, they'd start dating Hilton. So there you
No,
go.
never happened.
It's like pre-lining them up.
He's younger, and and I was already committed
No, you're just like
to my.
yeah. So
I was already committed.
Do you guys write?
no.
Like you mentioned that sometimes, right? So you write it down.
I do.
Your
Every day.
feelings or situation.
every day.
How do you keep it?
And it's so funny because David, you asked the age of when you started realize. I just started going to therapy this year, and speaking to a therapist. And one of the things that I've learned is to write goals. Because my therapist even said, I'm very goal driven and I'm very like if I see it and then I can act on it, then I can go forward with it. So it's one of those things where if I have a problem, I'll write it down. I'll write the problem, and then I kind of just weirdly just stare at it, and then I'm just contemplating all types of different, and then I kind of do a like a branch model. Be like, okay, option A, I resolve this issue this way, this way, this way, come up with different options, and then I kind of I feel around to see which one is the appropriate response, which is the appropriate action that I need to take. So yeah, I write every single day.
Have you any of you wrote? Have any of you in here wrote put down on a paper or something like that, like a vision board?
Yeah, I've done that. I've never reflexively wrote like that, I think, but I've definitely done what you're talking about, vision board, like where I want to go.
Yeah.
You know, both business, life, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Probably should do it more, but I've never found. I guess I would just say, like, from my perspective, right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't like to talk about how I'm feeling. I'm that machismo bullshit guy that George was talking about that buries that stuff down and, go to solitude. Don't write it down. But I like to write or really contemplate about where I'm going. And things that sort of derail that a little bit, I just process it. I should probably go to therapy, but I just have not been that connected, like, internally like that to feel like I wanted to.
And again, this catharsis can happen in so many different ways. It's just that some people decide, therapy is the best, writing is the best. Man, it doesn't matter. It's how you cope with that,
Right.
Yes.
how how we use that, how you transform that. Some people use boxing because it needs to be physical. Others need the silence.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you need just to breathe and relax and, okay, you see, I know myself. If I interact in this environment, I won't be myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then my therapy might be your solitude. His writing might be
Right.
his cooking. I think we tend to label too much what works better just because it works for me. Why? I mean, I am a champion of suggest things that people also, see, I come from a good place, but it's still, I'm learning that. Do I really need to share this just because I want so bad that you improve? Like, you might not take that well,
I think that's natural, though. Men, fixers, right? We want to fix things for others that are around us that we care about, loved ones, anything like that, right? We want to make the suggestion of, like, hey, try this. This will probably help you. And we're all guilty of that, I think.
No, I agree. One of the things also that I use, I think it's I just go on YouTube and put some comedy, and then I watch some stand-up comedy, and that also takes me off a little bit of business because we are never off business, but comedy does. Or I sit down and watch Top Gear. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Car show. So it's like these, takes me off a little bit of work because my mind is constantly thinking about how do I change things to improve, because we all know that the meaning of sanity, or unsanity, right? It's insanity. It's like doing the same thing and expecting different results. So I'm always thinking of what different can I do to bring different results, but keeping within the vision board, within the goals, within the core values that we have on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
I think after we put the core values on the wall, we sold, that core values on our wall sold about $300,000 itself, just by showing customers and then, hey, we go by that. and then they read, and then they're like, yeah, I can see that, because everything that we have been talking to for like 3-4 days now about my flooring, yeah, it's all there because it's exposed, and then so we go by those values.
Well, you mentioned a second ago too is like the media of comedy. You know, I do that with like certain playlists, certain artists. You know, they allow me to zen out a little bit, and I mean it ebbs and flows through the years about who it is. One for now though that like really puts me in a pretty zen place is like Noah Khan. I don't know if you guys like whatever his northeastern vibe is, like it just totally chills me out. So
Yeah, I have the other tool that I use is I listen to a fantasy kind of podcast that they play like role playing games, and then they're rolling the 20 faces dice or die or whatever, right? And then they're playing a game RPG like D&D. And then, so I always listen to the same episodes. So, like, instead of taking whatever medicine to fall asleep faster, I just play that, and then within like 3 minutes, I'm out. So I use that a lot. So, is that a good time to wrap it up?
Gentlemen, I think we cured ourselves of all of our macho-ness. We've opened up our hearts to all of you out there. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, David, for showing up.
absolutely, I appreciate you guys allowing me to be here.
Yeah.
And I hope you have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I have. My eyes have almost watered out, but
I thought it was
Mine
like
as well.
emotional at a
Yeah,
certain
no.
point, and then I said, "Oh, it's not." It's not.
George got to me so much I started bawling over here. No, it was the cigars.
He does have that effect on people. So.
And I have to tell you, because you sit on that and the smoke comes this way, because it goes off this exhaust, and so it flows this way. So Dylan and I, the ones that suffer the most, but we're so used to it now. But this cigar is so spicy that my eyes
are watering too. Yeah,
stingy.
All right.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please
Comment, like.
share,
And hit notification.
Subscribe.
subscribe to our
Subscribe.
channel.
Yes.
Thank
See you next
you.
time.
Thank you.